Welcome to the counselor's office. I'm Mr. Gaming Counselor. Scholars, I just got done reacting live to Heresy Act 1, the developer live stream. And I just we're going to talk, go over some of the key parts that I feel like is important, in my opinion. The things that I really want to phone in. I do have some notes. Just some, not like a lot. And so we're going to go step by step and just kind of dissect everything. And I do have chat up and they're going to give their opinions, and that's great. I want you guys to give your opinions while we're going through. Just post the whole video. Yes. Yeah, maybe 2 hours is a lot. You would be surprised how many people would be upset about that. The weapon looks cool. I hope they are just mediocre seasonal weapons. Again, we'll get to the weapons in a minute. Let's just talk about the story. The story is, again, we're kicking off the end of the Light Dart saga. The Witness is dead. Echoes are everywhere. There's a new Echo. And as you can see on screen, Oryx he's back. He is Emperor Palpatine. Bungie is, again, relying on nostalgia, like they did with episode Revenant. And I complained and criticized them for heavily relying on nostalgia bait. And here we are with Oryx. He is back by the power of the Echo, which tells me either it's a memory of Oryx, because if you know anyone who understands the lore behind the Echoes, the Echo itself is memories of civilizations that the Witness took over and conquered, and he absorbed the Hive, the Pantheon, and used tricked and deceived and manipulated the 3 Hive siblings and gave them the worms and all that stuff. And even Rolk used the worm gods and stuff. So it's a very deep process, but essentially Oryx is ex machina back to life in some form or shape because of the Echo. You gotta love these retcons, ex machinas, whatever you want to call them. We know that Eris is playing a huge part. The Drifter, who is her boyfriend, is playing a big part because he loves messing with Taken. I guess he just wants to be taken by Eris at this point. We are getting, again, Oryx. The main villain apparently is some unnamed Dread. I don't know if it's this guy right here. He's a Taken Dread. I'm assuming that's not him, but we know Oryx is playing a part. We see the Echo right here. We're going back to the Dreadnought. We're going back to the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought is essentially, the way Bungie explained it, is being impacted by the Echo. The Echo is peeling back the Dreadnought and revealing the bone and all the extra flesh underneath. And you're going to see parts of the Dreadnought that is familiar with new parts. And they actually do show that. Like, we go through, and while they're talking about the gameplay, they show that off. You see the gameplay. I would probably like to just swap this over here. I should have swapped it over their face, but it doesn't really matter. And as you can see, you'll see the gameplay down below. And that's the gist of it. No, we have no idea what's going on with Zevo Wrath or Savathun. Apparently, they're not playing the massive key part in the villainy. I feel like it's weird that Zevo Wrath isn't the main villain. I know she's locked out of her Ascendant realm, and maybe she's being a bitch and hiding. I don't know. But Bungie has promised that this is supposed to be the conclusion of the Hive Pantheon story. So my fear is that they're going to introduce this conclusion wrapped up fast in Act 3, like they did with Episode 2, which was ass. So, missions are, Bungie does address the whole holo projector, and they're promising that this time, even though they promised and said something about it starting in Revenant, they are saying we're actually going to start with Heresy, where they're removing the holo projectors that you're going to be able to be out in the field, and instead of having to go to one spot constantly, it's going to be evolving. You're going to be able to interact with people in the battlefield. Like, as you're playing these activities or the story, you're going to be experiencing, like, think of like Crow and Cade in the Final Shape, when they're just sitting there on the bench talking to each other and you're just walking by. Like, That's a good example of what I'm thinking it's going to be like, hopefully, which is what it should have been to make you actually give a shit about these characters. But they've noted and even memed on the fact that people are tired of it for the third, fifth time already. So this time is the real time. Just hold them accountable. You can only tell people one thing and not do it. They're going to do, that kicks off with this big event happening with Sloan. Like this whole thing is called the Path of Resolve. So Sloan is going to teach us the ways of Strand. Like, sorry. No, it's the Taken. Yes, they're following the same line of thinking of the Lightfall, where they're having Mr. Miyagi teach you the power of friendship. And they hint at something happening that triggers this. My guess, based on the lore and the characters involved, Big Fish, Nessie, whatever her name is, who's also like a hive worm, she's probably going to get kidnapped. That's my guess. That's not confirmed, but that's my guess. Let's see, what else? Patrol spaces. Bungie is saying that Dreadnought patrol spaces are in the game now, as you're seeing some gameplay. However, they're in the form of an activity, and that activity is split into 3 different modes. There is your exploration mode, where you can kind of use it as an opportunity to explore the Dreadnought and find secrets and take your time to kind of enjoy the environment. There's the normal version with the advanced, and then there's the expert, which is obviously the challenge, the hard mode. The difference being is you can play solo with the explore mode. So shout out to you casuals and solo players. You finally have an activity that you can do. And they promise that you're going to have more benefits that allow you to access this activity without hopefully minimal problem. The activity itself is called the Nether. The big thing about this is essentially it's a combination of the coil with deep dives. And the coil in the sense that they brought back pot smashing, they brought back tokens, but in the deep dive, you're going to go into these different bubbles, these different locations, as you're seeing on the screen right now. You're going to go to these different areas. It's going to get increasingly harder, like both deep dives and the coil. And doing so is going to give you better loot, hopefully. They didn't really specify, but they said that you're going to want to get to the end to get the maximum amount of loot. It's going to get harder. They're going to increase modifiers, but you're also going to have access to what's called boons, which is just like deep dives, give you some benefit to your abilities, your perks, all that jazz. Also, the biggest key difference that they've initiated to try to make this more challenging, outside of the fact that you have res tokens and enemies are going to get harder and harder, is they are gating health. That's right. So they're forcing that you can no longer auto regenerate. You're going to have to rely on abilities and guns, and you're going to have to possibly actually have a cleric in your team is essentially what they were going for. They want to have viability. Personally, I'm okay with that. I think, I'm okay. I would rather them do that than just make everything one shot. I'm tired of doing activities where the gimmick is they just make random trash ads insta kill you. My concern is as you're watching the gameplay, they're constantly like teetering between low health, and that's a concern for me. That's a concern for me is that they're constantly in between low health. But as you can see, attrition exists, modifier attrition, where you're going to get kills, heal up, and you can't essentially just slay out, which some people are not going to like. Now, don't worry. It's going to be easier for you solo casual players, and there's going to be checkpoints. There's loot checkpoints. They said it's going to be from 8 to 12 minutes. You're going to be able to get in. You're going to be able to get out. Easy peasy, mac and cheesy. I like that. No ETA and like real in-depth explanation about like the story cadence or how the activities Bungie has mentioned in TWABs and articles that the activities are supposed to evolve as the week goes on. They did not explain any of that. As we're watching this activity, they have not explained how this activity is going to evolve and become different. something that they're introducing outside of the boons, which you can actually see what boons you have. There's different versions of boons. There's the corrupt boons, which give you benefits and give you negatives. I don't mind the boons. It's whatever. There's major boons, there's minor boons, and the corrupted boons. So there's 3 different boons. Great. Awesome. What else? I want to make sure I'm covering everything. It's a 3-player activity, by the way. So if you're wanting to go with a group like 6-man, you're not going to be able to do that. This is just like a strike, essentially. That's what it feels like. It feels like a strike. Randomize your starting point. So you're not going to be able to like fly in and just like, I'm going to check out the dreadnought. Every time you fly in, it's going to be a random location that you start out at. So don't expect to be able to do that. Modifiers, like I said, you're going to have a bunch of modifiers. You can smash pots, which are going to give you tokens, like the coil. It's going to give you health. But you're going to be, they want to encourage exploration. That's the main thing. You're going to see parts that are from Destiny 1. That's interesting. Another thing that they have yet to explain is whether this content, again, is going to stay or if it's just you're paying for this cool content and it's just going to go away. We have no explanation of whether that's going to be the case or not. Boon system, we already talked about it. They talked about how the boon system is like the Traveler's Blessings. You're going to do cool stuff like sliding causes like a wave of fire. Personally, I think it's going to be better here because in the Traveler, the blessings were pointless. I feel like with the roguelike abilities and the fact that you have minimal like health, no regen unless you build into it. I feel like that's cool. We'll have to see how that turns out. My concern is replayability like enjoyment wise. Nothing about this activity looks exciting. That's my honest take on this, is that the Nether, there's nothing about the Nether that gets me excited because it feels like you're just doing a strike with modifiers and like boons that are on the screen. The weapons are probably the best thing that does excite me. But nothing about this, like this, I don't think this is going to move the needle. I'm more excited to explore the Dreadnought, but the activity itself doesn't really move it to me. Sigil shards is a new material that I noted, which mean they talk about, that's a good segue. They talk about the tonic problems and they have acknowledged that people don't like the tonics, yet Bungie doesn't actually acknowledge some of the main concerns about the tonics. All they acknowledged was the fact that now whenever you use the new system, it's not called tonics. I forgot what the hell it's called. You're going to be able to focus the heretical arsenal. And you're going to be able to actually make sure you get the weapon that you want. And the way Bungie explained it is that instead of having to pop like tonics nonstop, you're going to have to do that less often. The concern that I wanted to see from Bungie that wasn't explained was, how often do I need to farm materials? How hard is it to get the materials to craft these things? And why couldn't we just have regular attunement in the first place that just I don't have to do this retention bait bullshit? The other thing is, they never mentioned anything about Fieldworks. Again, people complained about Fieldworks. Fieldworks was just useless, busy, retention bait shit. And I'm going to say it what it is. And all it did was improve your tonics. You did them to improve the efficiency of your tonic. No one wants to do it because they're boring, they're useless, they're chores. Bungie has not acknowledged that they're removing them or not. So we don't know. We don't know whether that's going away or not. But you should know that when you use the new system, whatever you focus, you will get, is what Bungie said. Don't expect to be raining down loot. That's not what it's going to do. You're not going to be raining down loot, unfortunately. But they do want to give more agency. It's called the Tomb of Want. Sorry, that's what it's called. It's called Tomb of Want. You can target weapons. So we are moving into the weapons. We are getting a bunch of new weapons. One of the new weapons that they showcased was the new support frame, which is Strand. It's a 600 auto rifle. It applies, I believe, Sever. If I'm correct, it's one of the Strand debuffs. When you hit an enemy, it applies it, which is really cool. I'm excited. It's Strand. I mean, either you love them or hate them, but having another healing support weapon in the kinetic slot is fantastic. What's really exciting is that Bungie finally acknowledged that why the fuck should I, if you're going to take away crafting, why do people care about these weapons? We are now getting, the heretical versions are now going to have adept shiny forms. Or at least what's going to happen is that the adepts are going to have a different variant from the base form. They're not actually ornaments, which I'm okay with, because that means you can still use shaders, but you're going to have a different version from the adept versus the base version. And you're going to be able to get double perks that you can enhance. And you're also going to get double origin traits. The origin trait is Runneth Over, which comes from King's Fall. It's the raid origin perk on all these weapons. I think that's great. There's a reason to care. My concern is we only saw like 1 or 2 weapons. The aerial denial frame, I'm not excited for, because literally we have the orb printing machine. Now, if this gets attrition orbs, then maybe it's exciting. Aerial denial frames are just, I think, overhyped, except for the orb printing machine. I'm not excited for it. We know we're getting another sidearm, because I've seen it, in a fusion rifle. So it depends on what the other weapons are coming back, that whether this is going to be a long chase or it's going to be a short chase. What else is coming back is Season of the Rivals, which I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think anyone's going to care. Like, I'm not excited for Season of the Rivals. The only thing that was exciting from that season was Bone Guillotine. We already have the Into the Light version, which is like the best sword in the game for like the Void, for sure. I'm not excited. I just do not care about that being a flex spot. Like, it's just nothing about it excites me. Let's see, what else do we got? They go over aspects, and I won't be honest. I did see the Ionic Sentry, which does look cool. I did see the LMG being used with Titan in the barrier aspect, where essentially gives bolt charge to all weapons, like arc weapons. And the LMG was like a mini Thunderlord. There is mods in the artifact mod, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, but there was one specific one that increases the lightning damage. I feel like with the artifact mod, that's really cool. It's gonna be a really good aspect. Without it, I don't know if it's gonna be worth the bacon or not. That's just my honest thought. It's also going to give you more abilities to interact with champions, which is cool. We'll give you that. Do I think that's going to make me want to use it over Prismatic? Probably not. Maybe for damage rotations, but like in Grandmasters, I'm not going to rely on Arc where I just die. I'm going to rely on like Prismatic and other like Solar, even though, or no, not Solar. Solar got nerfed. I would say Void. Void would be better. I don't think with Arc, I don't think anything that they have done with Arc is moving the needle based off what they showed. There is some good artifact mods, but I'm not looking at the artifact mods. I'm looking at the kit itself. And I think a lot of people are going to look at it based on the artifact mods. I'm wanting to look at, did they do the Arc subclass justice on its own without the artifact mods? And I don't think they did. I think Jolt is a good keyword. I think it's going to be really good at jolting, bolt charge. I'm not thinking it's going to make me get off of Prismatic or Void for Hunter or Titan. For Hunter, like Hunter has always been good with Arc. Like it's always been good. And so I think this is a net positive for Hunter. Warlock, I still don't think I'm going to get off Warlock, even with the Sentry turret. I don't care. Prismatic literally produces plenty of turrets and I can spam them and never die. So I'm sorry. I'm just not on Arc stand. Hunter got a beautiful bacon footage, visibility on the Prowl aspect. I think it's going to go great with Gerfalcons and Omnioculus. Again, I think those builds were good already. They didn't really need more support. I think they just got better. They like to talk about using like exotics like the hunting one. What was it called? That's not Lazarek, whatever the hell it's called. It's a shitty ass Season of the Hunt exotic linear rifle. I don't think anyone's going to use it. And I think it's cope. Moving on. let's talk about the artifacts while we're talking about. Well, it's very obvious Bungie wants to build into the Arc Fantasy. There's one synergy with Void, which I think Hunter's going to love, where weakening something is going to chain volatile rounds, and then chaining volatile rounds is going to chain weakening, which I think is going to be great synergy for like Grandmasters and stuff, where Hunter can really, like, I think Hunter is the best for this. Warlock can do it too, but not at the premium that Warlock or Hunter can do it. There is probably the most notable thing to talk about, which is particle deconstruction. We know that linear fusion rifles are getting a flat 10% buff across the board. We know that Queenbreaker bow is getting a massive buff in the fact that it's going to be turned, its second option, scope option, is going to be a 3-round burst that when you land those shots, it goes down to a charge rate of 300. So you're just blasting your load. So 10% plus that change plus deconstruction, which is going to give more ammo in your reserves. Plus there is a artifact mod. It's called Flash something. I forget what it's called, but it's going to increase the damage of your lightning bolts. So you're activating bolt charge. You're getting those lightning bolts from Queensbreaker. You're blowing your load. Like, you are doing a lot of freaking damage. Also, fusions are also anti-champion. I think Queensbreaker is going to be a premium pick that you're going to want in on your team. I think it's just going to be disgusting. I think even with Darcy buffing snipers, I would never use Darcy over Queensbreaker. And then fusions in general are going to be disgusting. Vex Mythoclast, great for GMs. Arbalest is even going to be good, just the fact that they can stun anti-champions, and it's just going to get massive buff from the 10%, which is great. It already had champion capabilities. I take that back. It's only going to get 10%. It's not going to get the benefit from the unstop stuff, whatever the mod was. Yeah, I'm thinking about what else can benefit. There's a lot of synergy. We're going to have glaives. I do want to complain. I hate the fucking champ system in this game. It is ass. It is garbage. I hate it. There's only one primary weapon that is going to have access to a stunning capability weapon. And I think it is fucking stupid from a new player or a player that doesn't have weapons. You're telling me you're going to lock them out to just using special weapons and a primary. I think with good builds, you can easily keep up special weapons like glaives, fusions. And yes, if you have Vex, you can circumvent and use a champion mod too without having special. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. It's very obvious they are going to brute force you into using Arc to use some of these stunning capabilities. I'm just not a fan I hate the champ mods. I think they're the bane of Destiny. They're stupid. They talk about trials and the new system. We already know what it is. Check out the TWAB if you want to, or the little Crucible rundown. It's pointless to go over it. I do want to mention they introduced 2 new exotics. One is the craziest ass looking SMG I have ever seen. There it is. Let's just, where's this? This little guy's a Strand SMG that's going to do blight darts. Right now, I'm not excited for it. It's definitely unique. I don't think it's going to be as exciting based on like the gameplay, and maybe it's just the user who's making it look bad. But for endgame, I'm not excited for an SMG. Like, SMGs in general are just lackluster in in-game content. And that's the perspective I look at. Sure, you can use anything in a public space. But end game wise, that's where I live. And with the limited amount of vault space, I'm not going to collect everything that's fun. I'm going to min max and get the best that's fun and good. That's where I'm drawing the line. But we're going to see, they kind of mention it being a precursor. So we might see some changes to it or a different gun that's based off of it. I'm not for sure. The second one is probably one of the most exciting season pass weapons we've gotten in a while. We have Lodestar, the first ever primary trace rifle. Trace rifles have been fucking useless except for like utility or for the double special cheese, which has been nerfed. You're gonna be able to use, it's like duality of the shotgun, where you have 2 different firing modes. You have a trace rifle firing mode, and then you have the pulse rifle firing mode. And essentially, when you build up stacks of arc alignment, you activate it, you shoot, you blow your load, and you blind and jolt targets. They talk about how you could shoot a wave and jolt all targets in a group, which means you're going to be able to take care of 2 different champions with this one gun. Not only that, you're going to build up stacks of bolt charge. You're going to build into arc with like amplify or even prismatic, because remember, prismatic, it's really easy to activate, amplify, and other keywords. Like using this on a void hunter with prismatic, like you're going to be able to go invisible quite often. Like I'm pretty excited. This is probably one of the best season pass weapons. We don't even know what the catalyst does. That's the funny thing. Like the Theridium, I wasn't excited because there was 0 synergy with it. There is immediate synergy with this arc trace rifle. It's a new model. We've been screaming Bungie, stop reusing shitty ass models. This thing, boom, new remodel. It's not a copy pasta of what we already have. It's something fresh. Hallelujah. Holla. Holla. And not only that, but it like I said, it matches the theme of arc, which is what they're pushing for. I'm tired of them pushing weapons that have no fucking reason to be a part of a season. Like, let's put solar in a like Dragon's Breath in what was supposed to be a stasis season, and it became Dragon's Breath and solar. Anyways, they talk about the dungeon, which again, the dungeon itself, just so you know, isn't part of the season. It's being released alongside it. You still have to either you pay the deluxe version, or you have to, if you pay, you have to pay for the dungeon key itself, which gives you access to both dungeons for this year. You do not need to buy the season. You also don't need, if you buy the season, you don't get access to the dungeon. Just make that very clear. You do not, you get an absolute just L if you buy the season with Bright Dust, and you don't, if you buy the season, the dungeon pack key, you don't get access to the seasons. You either buy the annual pass, which gives everything, you get the deluxe edition, which gives you the final shape and everything. Those are the only ways you get access to it. I just want to put that up because people don't understand that the dungeon is not part of the season. That's why I give 2 different reviews for it, so you know whether you're wasting your time spending money or not. No new exotic weapon is a huge effing L. The season 1 is fantastic. I don't know what you're talking about. When it comes to build craft, I would say I would rather have this exotic weapon over the shit that is an erythium. It's only good, I guess, if you want to be ammo generator, but it has 0 synergy. I would rather have a weapon with synergy that can deal with 2 champs. So Grandmasters, fantastic. Am I going to take this into like day 1 of certain activities? It depends on what it is. For damage rotations, no, I'm putting Queensbreaker on. Are you joking? For boss damage, Queensbreaker is not leaving my side. But for synergy, I mean, this is probably the most synergistic weapon we've had in a long time. Armor. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice. Sorry, Tank of People. Yes, we have nothing new about exotic armor. Yeah, we have nothing about exotic armor. We don't know if we're getting any. They talk about the Trials armor. As you can see on screen, it's all right. I mean, they're going for more Osiris armor. That's dope. I talked about the dungeon. They're going to do the dungeon race. Again, it's not part of the season, but I'm going to acknowledge it because it's part of the dev stream. They're going to do the singular winners, the 3 people that got first place. Guess what? You're first place. No participation tokens. And as soon as they cross, everyone's going to access to the normal dungeon. And the new people are going to get a nice little trophy. And then everyone else is going to get, if you really were missing out on Chatterwhite, they're going to get you this nice work jacket shirt that they say is a work shirt or something. You're going to get access to this really cool Chatterwhite inspired jacket. I'm joking. I'm absolutely being facetious. Okay, so my chat is saying DMG tweeted that they are trading exotic armor for new aspects. I'm disappointed. I'd rather have armor, because usually the armor you can use like with prismatic or arc, you can use for both. aspect, unless it's across the board with prismatic, it's kind of an L in my opinion. Because you may just I will probably never touch the sentry on my warlock because I have two, like I can have 3 turrets at once: stasis, arc, and solar. Like, I'm sorry. Also, for people like me who've been jizzing in their pants waiting for the day that they can farm out a craftable Fatebringer or get the enhanced Fatebringer, Time Lost, Daddy is back and it has a juice magazine. So yes, we're finally, Fatebringer's back in line. We're waiting to get something that's better than my Midnight Coupe. Daddy is back with his juicer Fatebringer. Thank God. That's probably the thing that I'm most excited about. If I'm being brutally honest with this entire crunch of what I think, my impressions, Revolve becoming farmable and making me care is probably the thing I care about the most. The activity just seems like deep dives on the dreadnoughts. The story seems like nostalgia bait. I am not excited for most of the season except for the guns, which is not really seen. We don't know how good the guns are yet, but I am very interested in the weapons. Some of the exotics have piqued my interest. And then obviously there's the dungeon, which is separate. However, the dungeon may very well make me want to continue to play Destiny as a whole, even if the season was a flop. I'll let you know what I think. I have my Adept Fatebringer. So do I. But Daddy wants the best of the best because I'm a sweaty fat. Well, I'm not fat. I'm getting there. I'm a sweaty nerd. Let's see. Also, something to note while we're talking about it. Just when you thought MTX wasn't done, Bungie's not done with you. They want you to drop your pants. It is funny because this is iconic that Bungie has chosen stormtroopers to be Titans because we all know that Titans don't use guns. So this makes sense that they're stormtroopers. They don't know how to use a gun, and when they do, they're usually shooting in the air or something, or they're using a rocket for ad clear. I don't know. But if they're not punching something, they're acting like stormtroopers. No, but literally, like as I said, Oryx is Palpatine. They pulled the last Jedi, or not the last Jedi, the last Skywalker. And unironically, it's 2 franchises that have shit the bed and become a shitty laughing stock. They are now merged together. 2 shit stains becoming 1. Who would have thought? Yep, all the people that are just criticize Bungie for not fixing the bugs, which, by the way, just so you all know, we did do a Bungie bingo. They didn't address bugs. They didn't address time gates. They slightly addressed tonics, not really. Zalo didn't return. Noah, the developer, didn't show up. Menagerie activity, we got not. Dreadnought being a patrol space, they confirmed that it kind of is. Rolk, we've yet to see come back, but Bungie has found a way to get the Destiny community, the fat, sweaty nerds in their mom's basement, circle jerking Data's videos, to drop their pants once again. And here it is. By the way, I just want to point out, this not being Boba Fett, massive miss. And this not being Palpatine, considering we literally have a super that turns us into Palpatine, massive miss. This is very acceptable. This is a Titan.ex right here. Yeah. That is pretty much it, guys. That was pretty much everything covered. I covered every little thing. Listen, I'm going to say this because I'm grilling Bungie and MTX. I don't care about MTX if the game does good enough job with content. I give money to content that is free and is worth my time. Warframe, Fortnite, 100% free. Destiny, you have to pay for expansion. You have to pay for the dungeon. You have to pay for the season. And then they want to milk your nuts off with MTX. Fuck you. Destiny is the biggest scam in the gaming community, which is why people make fun of Destiny, why people don't see it as successful, why people just make the meme, LOL, dead game, I can't believe you're still playing. Destiny is the laughing stock of the gaming community. No one takes it serious, especially PvP. No one takes it serious. There's other games that have better legacies than Destiny. And it's because you've got to think that they sunset paid content still, even with the sunsetting of expansions, they sunset seasonal content every year, and no other game does that. You pay for it and it goes away. So with that said, yes, Destiny is the biggest scam. Maybe when seasons become free in the summer, we're going to see a different tune. We'll see. I'll be more acceptable at MTX. The shit like this where we have 30 different MTX things and the game is not running, I'm not okay. MTX, microtransactions. Microtransactions to MTX. I'm not okay with it. It's just, it's pointless. They are giving us a new trial set. Great. They are revamping Crucible, which is a free activity. Great. Iron Banner. Great. Yet to hear anything about strikes. That's probably not going to be until the summer. My overthought and opinion on this episode, this season, is I'm not seeing most of the main concerns being covered. I don't see the story being saved. I don't see them doing justice to the story. And the gameplay is lackluster. I'm excited to see some guns. But there's a lot of questions that Bungie has not answered. How's the activities going to evolve? They said that they're going to change kind of like the cadence where in between the weeks that we're going to have things happen instead of being 3 dead weeks. We're going to see something maybe in those weeks. They didn't explain shit all about that. That's just my general thought. I appreciate you guys. You're awesome. Hit the like button, comment down below. Until next time. Again, I want it to be good, but my expectations is very low. You're asking me, should you buy this? I'm saying no. Just don't buy anything yet. Wait and see. And I will give you my first impressions of what I think. Because right now we're just seeing what they show. I was excited for Onslaught, but the loot was not good. So I will let you know if the loot's good and worth your vault space, essentially. I'll let you know. So tune in, check it out, do live streams occasionally. I'll probably try to do better, especially I do work, so I won't be there on launch. I'll be after launch, like an hour or two after launch. I will work, so I'll come and start streaming like I am today. But I appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. As always, game out.